Dave, it's great to meet you. We're sitting in a cafe in London and we've got the pleasure of having Dave Johnston from Peru. He's just flown in from the Amazon and it's so good to see you again.
Thanks, Vicky. Wonderful to be here.
So where is the reserve located? Can you tell us more about what the kind of place it is?
Well, the Las Piedras Amazon Center is based about 3 hours away from Puerto Maldonado, which is the kind of gateway into the Amazon. It's actually the foremost visited destination in the Amazon rainforest, and we are a 4,500 hectare reserve, which we protect through a kind of sustainable business model with education, volunteering and tourism. It is in the Las Piedras watershed. Las Piedras is one of the longest tributaries in the Madre de Dios region. It's fairly remote. It is an area that is currently unprotected in terms of conservation status. So we have decided strategically to build up a network of protected areas in this particular watershed and try to conserve what is currently pristine primary Amazon rainforest, which means it has been virtually untouched until now, where we started to see, as road networks increase in the region, a lot more threat from deforestation or illegal logging, and so we've decided to take on this particular challenge and work to conserve Las Piedras as a watershed. And we're building up a corridor of protected areas, but our station in our reserve where we're based from is about 3 hours from Puerto Maldonado.
Oh, fantastic. So you speak about some of the threats facing the reserves like this in the Amazon. I mean, are there lots of places which are just being logged and roads presumably just being built?
Yeah, well, the Amazon, is suffering yearly. We're losing roughly the size of all the rainforest in Costa Rica.
Oh my God.
Every year being lost in the Amazon, mostly due to cattle ranching and unsustainable agriculture. In Peru, the rate of deforestation is increasing each year, and what we're seeing locally in Las Piedras is increasing road networks, so the forest is becoming more accessible. Almost on a daily basis, the roads are increasing in length and size, and with that come heavy machinery to take out timber. So we're experiencing a lot of timber extraction, and right around our reserve actually, and partly the reason why we chose this particular place is because right around us we're experiencing deforestation by local agriculturalists who are cutting down, right now there are about 1,500 hectares being cut down for cacao.
Oh, right.
So they're growing monocrop culture cacao in a really pristine environment, and so we decided to come in and tackle that challenge and sort of put the brakes on from that, spreading further up the river, up into the watershed, but also looking at it from very bipartisan kind of viewpoint of why is this happening. There's obviously not necessarily bad people involved in this. We want to look at how we can resolve this work together with the local community. And so it's an interesting thing that's happening, and I think that we need to act fast in order to protect the Las Piedras watershed, because we're seeing fast increase in deforestation and logging.
Wow. Great. Well, I'm really pleased you managed to protect that area. That's really important. What research is being carried out in the reserve? Can you tell us a little bit more about, I know you've got lots of opportunities which are on our website, but maybe give a couple of examples of some of the volunteer and internship opportunities that exist that people can sign up to?
Well, we fundamentally utilize and work with volunteers to help undertake all the research that we're doing on the reserve. We feel it's important to involve young people, or people from all over the world, young and old actually, in the research that we're doing, so that they can actually learn from the experience, and those people help us to achieve our goals. We're working on endangered primate research at the moment, trying to understand populations and behavior of the endangered Peruvian black spider monkey.
Oh, it's great.
This is a species that historically has been hunted out to local extinction in many areas within the region. We still have fairly healthy populations in Las Piedras, and so we're looking at behavior, trying to understand how we can better protect these particular species. We also have a really interesting camera trap study that we're working on at the moment, where we're putting camera traps up in the canopy of big trees, trying to understand the importance of some of these big tree species. For example, the ironwood species, locally known as Chihuahuaco, is one of the trees that are being logged heavily at the moment in the region. But these trees have particular importance for the Peruvian black spider monkey, for harpy eagles, for macaws, which nest and feed in these big trees. So with these camera traps up in the big trees, we can understand a little bit more about their importance, and we can then go on to prove, that we need to protect this species
How'd
of tree.
you get up the trees then? Who does all the hiking?
Yeah, we have Corey Rushford is our camera trap researcher, and she is trained in climbing with ropes. So she has a really cool rope system, and she can access trees up to 40 meters up into the canopy. It's pretty scary. I've only been up to 10 meters, and then I kind of wanted to come back down again. But most people are okay to go all the way up to the top, and apparently it's an amazing view.
Oh yeah.
I'll do it one day.
Yeah.
I have a particular fear of heights, so that's my problem. But it's beautiful, and we've actually seen some, on the camera traps that we've put up, we've seen some new species for the region, and one or two species that we're kind of unsure of what they are. So we're still getting people to help, some researchers to help identify, some experts to help identify.
Fantastic. Hey, what about students who want to do a research project for a dissertation or a master's? What sort of options have they got?
Well, we actually have specialists, researchers and PhD students and doctors of biology who have quite a vast experience, vast set of skills and knowledge amongst them.
Yeah.
And so we currently are accepting interns who have an interest in mycology, who have an interest in birds, in herpetofauna, in mammals, in cats. Actually, we've just started a drone mapping project with some analysis of the forest canopy. So we're really branching out in technology as well as wildlife biology, and we actually include projects that are about reforestation, putting back into the forest, so forest management, and permaculture and sustainability. And we work with the local community, so we have a wide range of options for people to come in and include their skills and their needs or will to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get a lot of families wanting to bring their kids on adventures, getting away from the iPhones and the dreaded iPads. I mean, I know you've got a few opportunities for families. Is there something you can tell us about?
Yeah, well, one of the greatest things about the reserve is that it's outside of cell phone and internet signal. So anybody who comes there is obliged to take a detox from their phones and tablets and laptops, which is probably one of the greatest things about the experience. And we have family programs that cater for families and children over the age of 3, which really can include a number of the projects that I was just talking about. Families love to get involved and stuck in with some of the research. We have, for younger kids, working with tracking and making molds of tracks of animals, helping identify animals on our camera trap footage, walking through the forest and identifying medicinal plants and fungi, and really it's an awareness building program that works on a holistic understanding of the conservation issues that we have in the region. Families can understand and see exactly what is happening in terms of the deforestation. They get to see some deforestation and actually understand why it's happening, and they get to participate in our programs, which are on the solution-based side of working on protecting the rainforest and understanding the wildlife. And of course we have a load of fun activities as well, such as swimming in the waterfalls and tree climbing for those kids who are old enough, and swimming in the river.
Fantastic.
Looking at the macaws and the clay lick. So it's a beautiful setting to be with your loved ones.
Hey, what about groups? You take university groups, school groups? Is that an option as well?
We work with a number of universities and companies that work with young students, and we do similar packages. 3 to 5 day packages where it's kind of they can actually design the programs around what they think would be best for their particular group of students. It can be more academic, it can be more service based. We've worked with some student groups that are very service based and will come in and actually build a greenhouse or work on cleaning up the trail system or putting signage up. And we have others that are more science based, and they'll come in with their own professors who will actually undertake short experiments or research projects with their group. It can be on water quality, it can be on you name it. It's an ecosystem just begging to be studied more. So we cater for groups, families, individual students, volunteers.
Brilliant. And what would you say to someone who's worried about traveling to a project on their own for the first time? I know that you take great care of volunteers from all the good feedback that we receive, but like from the minute they arrive to when they leave, in your own words, how would you make them feel at home, and how are they taken care of and trained, and what's the social life like in the camp as well?
Great. Well, I mean, we see our volunteers as part of the family, and we love to, and we always make sure that our volunteers feel welcome and safe. From as soon as they're in the country, they have numbers that they can get hold of us on while they're, possibly in Lima or Cusco on their own travel adventures or on their way through to Puerto Maldonado. We always collect volunteers from the airport, and from that moment onwards, they're with us, and whether it's at our office/house in Puerto Maldonado, going up to the research center, and at the research center they're always taken care of by our official staff coordinators, who have been trained in their specific role and function as researchers, but also in health and safety, and what to do when volunteer might be ill, or and camp life is great. It's again, like-minded people coming together to enjoy the forest. At night and at meal times, it's always a whole bunch of stories from various groups that have come back and seen specific things, and some group might have found an interesting animal on their camera trap, others might have seen a deer or a specific species of bird that they share with everybody else over meal times. And
does everyone cook together as well?
We actually have a chef at the camp who cooks food for everybody, but almost always there's somebody in the kitchen with with the cook, helping them out, making sure that meals get done on time.
Good.
And then it's the chef shouts rancho, and everybody comes like moths to a flame.
Great.
To get stuck in.
I bet everyone's pretty hungry after all that work.
It is, but the food's good, and it's always a lively occasion over meal times.
Excellent.
And it's a really good community, and most of our volunteers cry when they leave. They make amazing friends, and the staff are part of that community. So we all eat together. Everybody tries to communicate across the Spanish-English barrier, and it's a wonderful experience. I think that's why a lot of our volunteers return and end up staying, and some of them actually are inspired enough to come back and start their own projects, which is the best outcome possible.
Absolutely. So, just lastly, I think we've had a long chat. I just wanted to have a little chat about something we've spoken about in the past. You told me about some of the uncontacted tribes. I remember seeing something on Channel 4 as well a year ago or something. And I think you're fairly close to that part of the Amazon. I think we also discussed at one point that maybe you'd do an expedition in that direction. Is that something that's still in the cards? Is that something that you're still thinking about?
Yeah, well, Las Piedras is incredible for many reasons. It's one of those reasons is that it is home to some of the last remaining uncontacted tribes on the planet. There are estimated to be maybe 200 or 300 uncontacted peoples living in the upper Las Piedras watershed, only 100 kilometers away from where we are actually. And we would never ever go to try to reach them or to make contact, but there are communities that live further upriver from us who we are working with more and more each year to develop potential expeditions in the future where we can actually go and stay at these communities and get a little bit closer to the region where the uncontacted tribes actually live. And that is definitely on the cards. I mean, it's super interesting. The Mashkopiro, as they are referred to, although it's potentially a little bit of a derogatory name, but that is how they're referred to. I believe that they maybe call themselves Namole. But they are a very interesting people, and they were they've been affected over time, since the rubber boom in the late 1800s, right through petrol and oil and gas exploration, into the mahogany boom where there were conflicts between them and loggers, while the loggers were taking out all of the mahogany from the region, and so they've been in this state of peril for centuries, and what we're trying to do is actually create this reserve and corridor to help to buffer them from this encroaching deforestation, and I think that's a key part of what we're trying to achieve. And one of the communities that lives upriver from us is a great source of information about the uncontacted tribes because they are from the same descent as the Mashkopiro. They are from Guinea descent, and they have an amazing story to tell. And so I think in the near future we hope to be able to bring an expedition or two up to this community to learn more about the Guinea people, and find out some first-hand information. They have every now and then visits from the uncontacted tribes in very specific seasons of the year, so we would make sure not to visit them during those seasons. But watch the space.
Yes, exactly, and I'll be there too.
Good. Nice.
Great, Dave, thanks so much. This has been an absolute treat, and hopefully we'll see you again in Peru very soon. So thanks a lot, and take care.
Look forward to it.
Have a good one.
Come soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicky. You too.
Ciao. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All the best.